Sure. Commander Deese, D-E-E-S-E, Houston Police Department, Vehicular Crimes Division.
Thank you, sir. Where are we? And kind of run through what we're working right now.
Shortly around 9 o'clock, or shortly after 9 o'clock this morning, patrol officers got a report of a stalled vehicle right here on I-10. During the time that it took for the officers to get here to check on that stalled vehicle, an 18-wheeler traveling in the westbound lanes struck the car from behind. I pushed the car about 30, 40 yards maybe. The driver of the vehicle was taken to Memorial Hermann with very significant injuries, but at this time, last report we got was she was expected to survive. She was the sole occupant of the vehicle.
Sounds like she's pretty fortunate to be alive.
Yeah, if you look at the damage to that car, she's very fortunate to be alive.
And so are we saying that this is essentially just a tragic accident?
At this time, we're treating it as an accident. There's still a lot of investigation that will go into this, taking into account speed. The driver of the vehicle consented to a blood draw, phone issues, all those things will be looked at before charges are made. But ADA Sean Tier is here. He can speak better to you on the appropriateness of charges in the case.
Okay, but the driver is cooperative, though?
Yes, the driver is cooperative.
Commander, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Sean Tier, S-E-A-N-T-E-A-R-E, Chief of the Harris County DA's Office Vehicular Crimes Division.
Thank you, sir. What's going on?
Well, as the commander said, we've had a crash here on the westbound lanes of I-10 right after Dairy Ashford. Apparently, after 9 o'clock this morning, citizens began calling in about a disabled vehicle in the main lanes. And those calls then got upgraded to a major crash. What that tells us is that this wasn't a bam, a very quick issue, that the driver of the Mercedes was stalled out for some period of time before the 18-wheeler struck her. That's something that we're going to have to look at. We're going to have to tighten that timeline to see exactly how long that car was stranded there prior to being hit. As we're going forward, there are likely not going to be any charges today, but we are going to look at a number of things before we determine whether charges ever come about. The fact that the line of sight here is not a factor, that the 18-wheeler should have seen this car for almost a mile before he struck him. So that's a concern. We've got to look at the speed that the 18-wheeler was traveling. The crash reconstruction unit for HPD is one of the best, and they're going to go through and look at all of the roadway evidence and all the other investigative tools we have to see exactly how fast the truck was going prior to impact. We don't have any evidence of pre-impact braking, which is concerning, especially given the line of sight and the light traffic that Sunday morning on I-10 West is always going to have. As Commander said, the driver of the 18-wheeler is cooperative, so we're going to take a blood draw. We're going to analyze that to make sure that there's nothing that we're not seeing on scene. We're going to look at the cell phone. That's typically something that we see in non-alcohol related crashes as a contributing factor. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at all of those things over the next week before we determine whether or not any charges are appropriate. But in a case like this, as long as the victim does continue to stay alive, we could potentially at the highest be looking at a reckless aggravated assault. But if she does take a turn for the worse and die, you're looking at a potential manslaughter or criminally negligent homicide.
Okay. And, I forgot to ask, Commander, but do you guys have any idea when the roadway should reopen?
For obvious reasons, we're working to get the freeway back open as soon as possible. The 18-wheeler and the Mercedes that was being driven, there's a lot of contact, so the truck is actually, for all intents and purposes, actually in the back seat of the vehicle. So getting it moved won't be as easy as just picking it up and taking it out. And then given the fact that it's an 18-wheeler, we're going to probably have to get moved. I would hope within an hour that we'll be able to get things moving though.